Hey, financial coaches. Coach Kelsey here. Happy Memorial Day weekend. I know it's been a bit of a challenging week, kind of a heavy week. I know for me, one of the ways that I process grief, if you will, or sort of help myself to feel better, is with two things. One is personal connection and human connection. And so I've been spending a ton of time just having conversations this week and went out with some girlfriends just to chat and, spending time with my family and spending time with all of you as well. And then the second way is by feeling as if I am having a positive impact in some way, even if it's not connected to necessarily where the heaviness is coming from. Just feeling like I am playing a positive role in this world and having a positive influence in some fashion. And so, I've done a couple of videos this week because it is sort of what I do to fill my cup. I did a training video earlier in the week around how to show up during coaching calls if there has been some sort of like collective tragedy that has happened in the world or in our country or in your town or something like that. So I want to invite you to go watch that training video. It's been posted to the group if you have not seen it yet. Hopefully it'll give you some tools to use going forward in that kind of thing. We've done a couple of other training videos as well. Jill did one. And then today I also want to share this video with you. And we are going to talk about how to up level your coaching conversations, specifically around one particular topic that I'm pretty sure all of us are talking with our clients about. And regardless of who our niche is, right? So regardless of who you serve specifically or who your ideal client is, chances are one of the conversations that comes up is sort of preparing financially for an emergency. And I know how I used to coach clients on this concept when I first started, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit. And I'm also going to explain to you step by step how we coach our clients on it today, and why that process is sort of up-leveled and improved and that sort of thing, and how you can do the same thing. For those of you who don't know me, my name is 𝗪𝗂𝗘𝗢. I am a financial coach first and foremost. The name of my business is Fiscal Fitness Phoenix, so you can go ahead and check that out if you're curious. I also am the creator of this Facebook group, Financial Coaches Unite, and the Financial Coach Academy, which offers programs, trainings, and events specifically for financial coaches so that we can collaborate and grow and learn together. So I am excited to be here. Thank you for letting me sort of pour into all of you as my way of like filling my own cup and feeling like, there's positive things happening even through grief and sorrow and heartache and all of that. So one of the things you've probably heard me say over and over and over again, if you have watched any of my videos, is that I think it's really important to be a student of our craft. So always learning and growing. And I think that is especially true in sort of a few different areas. Number one is like our coaching skills. I mean, I think about how I used to coach when I first started compared to how I coach now, and it's vastly different. And it's not like just one thing catapulted it forward. It was just a little bit at a time, growing and learning and asking better questions and, better listening skills and all of that. The second way is our business skills. So always looking for new strategies and expanding sort of how we're doing things, keeping the same strategy, but maybe making tweaks or nuances with that strategy. One of the other videos that I did in the past week was all about refining and up-leveling your discovery session, which is your very first coaching session, likely with a client. So it wasn't about changing it. It was about how do you, if you've been doing it for a while, now sort of here's the next level of the discovery session. Here's how you add that nuance and really the refinement to what you're doing. So that was another training video that I did. And then the third area where I think we're always learning and growing is our mindset. Today, I want to focus on the coaching skills side of things. And I want to take an area of money like we're already coaching around, and that is emergency savings. I'm going to compare how I coach clients on this topic when I first started, and then how I coach clients on it now and why I think that's so important. And I want to invite you to take these steps and also introduce them as well. It should be very easy for you to do that. Just sort of like, grab some pen and paper right now, write down that here is your new process for coaching clients on their emergency savings going forward, okay? So one of my goals with the things that I share, it's really just this desire to hopefully help all of you move the needle faster than when I first launched my coaching business. I became a financial coach, God, I think it's like 13 years ago now. Like sometimes I have to do the math because I say the same number like in video after video, and then I realized like how much time has gone by since I said 12 years. It's actually been a whole nother year, I do the same thing about my dog's age, actually. I'm like, my dog has been 9 for about 4 years now. Anyway, so out of necessity, I learned a lot of things, but the progress was really slow. I had no one else to turn to. I didn't know any other financial coaches. I had no one to tell me that it could even be any better than the way I was doing it. So for me, the very first thing that I even had to do was just realize that there was a better way out there. And then I had to go figure out the how, right? I had to do the research. I had to do trial and error. And my goal with the videos that I do in this group is to help you skip all of that. And we're just going to go straight to like, yes, it can be better. Here's the way you can do it. And here's exactly how you do it. So let's get coaching, right? With this desire to help you remove some of the time that it took for me to really hit the ground running as a financial coach. So we're going to take emergency savings as an example, as this concept that we're likely already coaching our clients on. And we're going to talk about maybe how you might be doing it, at least it was how I started doing it, and how we now do it over and over and over again, time and tested sort of strategy. And hopefully it'll help you to feel even more confident with your coaching sessions around this topic. So when I first started, I would tell clients why having an emergency savings was important. I'm curious if you do the same thing. Do you tell your clients that they should have an emergency savings account, that an emergency fund is important? Then I would take their income, maybe their current expenses, we would multiply it by 3 or 6 months, and we would now have our target, our goal. And I would say, let's go, let's get saving, right? Here is a really big misconception that I had when I first started coaching. I thought that when a client knew what to do, they would go and do it. And all I had to do was tell them what to do. I didn't realize that a lot of people already know what they need to do, or they already know what they should do, or even once they do know, it's the doing it or the doing it consistently that is the biggest challenge. And knowledge alone is not a motivation for everyone. It may be for you, that may be, an important element of like where your drive to achieve things comes from. People say all the time, knowledge is power. And I believed that for a really long time. I quickly realized as a coach that if a client can't or doesn't apply that knowledge, it is just knowledge. And in my opinion, coaching is the application of knowledge. It is helping clients apply the knowledge, find a way to apply the knowledge to get results. That's where coaching really comes in. Teaching is the knowledge part of it, right? It's the coaching is the application of that knowledge. So here's how I coach someone on emergency savings now. And again, this purely came like figuring it out of necessity, because we would set those 3 to 6 month targets, and some clients just could not feel motivated to hit that target. Like it just wasn't enough. They, things would distract them, expenses would come up. They just didn't overall feel or seem all that committed to achieving some arbitrary number that we had come up with. Okay. So here is the process, and let me see how many steps I have here. Okay, so technically 6 steps. Are you ready? So here is step number 1. The first thing that we do is we ask them how they feel right now about the thought of an emergency happening today and their readiness level to tackle it. So if one were to happen, what would you do? And we have a really in-depth conversation about that, because some clients will say things like, well, I would go to my parents and they would help us. And I then will ask the question, like, and how do you feel about that being your strategy? Are you okay with that? And some clients really are. They're like, you know what? My parents would never judge me. They always want to help. I know that that would not be a big deal and it would be fine. And other clients are like, you know, I don't know, like I would hate it. I wouldn't want to do it. I'd be embarrassed. I'd be ashamed and like that kind of thing, right? Other times people would say, yeah, I worry about it all the time. Some clients are like, I really don't worry about it. It's just not something I live in the here and now, right? Like you'll have those types of clients as well. But the idea is to really gain insights on where they are currently on this idea of tackling an emergency today should one happen. And also, what do you think you would do if one did happen? Some clients are like, I would probably just put a bunch of stuff on credit cards for a while. And it's like, and how do you feel about that as your strategy? And some clients are like, I mean, I would rather do it a different way. And it's like, great, let's talk about what some of those different ways could be, right? And other clients are like, I think that's fine. So the idea is to really start with figuring out where they are today with the idea of tackling an emergency, their readiness level, and how they feel about it today, okay? Second, we talk about what they would love to be able to say they do in the case of an emergency, how they would love to feel should an emergency happen. This helps us paint a picture and gain a clear vision outside of just their finances around like, how would you want to show up in the face of an emergency, right? Like, let's talk about that. Like, what would you love to say you're capable of doing or you're able to do, or you feel a certain way that you are able to do what, instead of it going on credit cards or you asking your folks for money, what would you love to say you have in place and you would feel really proud of that, right? So what we have done, I want you to pay attention to this, is we've assessed where you are today and we've painted the picture of where they would rather be. This is that gap. We're always trying, financial coaches, our goal is to bridge the gap, right? And so the idea is you first have to assess what is the gap, where are we and where are we trying to get to, okay? Because those two things, and this is, I think, the other big misconception that I had when I first started coaching, is that I thought how everybody felt about it today and really how everybody wanted to feel in the future were the same as what I felt and my motivations for doing it and my thoughts and my feelings and all of that. Or I kind of thought there was like maybe only one or two different ways that people would interpret this. And really, it's unlimited, right? Like everyone is so unique. And it's one of the things that I love about financial coaching and just coaching in general is, meeting the person where they're at and really helping them to get where they want to be, right? So we really have to figure out what those two ends of the spectrum are. Think about that as like, here's our bookends. We're trying to fill the center in with books, okay? Third, we talk through the potential emergencies they fear the most. Which ones worry the client or keep them up at night, if there are any, right? Like, what are the ones that sort of like, you think about it for a second and some clients are like, they kind of like push it away. They're like, no, don't even think about it. Don't even think about it. Or like gives them a stomach ache or a chest ache or something like that. And then they like ignore it. Like, no, I can't even think about that. We really want to talk about those things first. So here's the key difference with this step compared to how I did it initially. I used to tell a client why emergency savings were important. I would tell them, in case X happens, you'll be ready. Now, instead, we ask our clients what they fear the most, because that tells me why emergency savings is most important to them, not to me, but for them, right? Taking action comes from our feelings. And if I can help a client feel inspired or motivated to take action by showing them that they can feel prepared, right? Or they can feel at peace, should an emergency happen, like whatever that goal is on how they want to feel, that if I can show them that you can feel this way by, putting these strategies in place, I know that they are more likely to take action towards that goal, right? Towards that vision. Or maybe it's that they can feel less scared or less worried, right? Or they can feel less pain in their chest or in their stomach or like those types of things by saving for this. That is their driver, okay? It may not be what motivates me and it may not be what motivates you, but it's absolutely going to be the thing that motivates them, and we have to find that, okay? Step 4, We take the time to talk about each of those scenarios that they truly worry about. My one client, her husband owns an AC company, which in Phoenix is a really big deal. Every place you go has multiple AC units, chances are. Her worst fear was her husband falling off the roof of a house, getting disabled, and that being such a big source of their livelihood, it like really worried her, right? The strategies we use to mitigate against that potential emergency are different than, let's say, her losing her steady salary job. Because when we talked about that possible scenario, she was like, honestly, she's like, if I lost my job, like she's in a position where she would absolutely get a severance. And then she was like, I'm really marketable. I could go get a job. Like maybe there would be like slightly less pay, or maybe the benefits would be slightly less in the first year or two. But she was like, honestly, she's like, I am not worried about me losing my job in the slightest. So if I were to have started the conversation with, let's figure out how we can prepare you should you lose your job, she would be like, if I lose my job, I just go get a different job. You know what I mean? So again, like her motivation wasn't around what I care about. It's what we need to pull out what she cared about. So the idea is like the steps we would want to figure out in each of those scenarios are really important, right? Those are the emergency plans that we're really thinking through. So the next step is we actually create financial plans in case of those emergencies that worry the clients the most. So what expenses would you need to add, right? Would we need to have somebody, in home taking care of your husband if that were to happen, right? Like let's just talk about all of these things. Which expenses would you get rid of? What would life potentially look like in that moment? And some things are pretty significantly different, right? Like in this case, if that were to happen, her life would look very, very different. And other ones are not that significant, but we still talk through them, right? The goal here is not to create a perfect plan because that is not possible, okay? But should an emergency occur, there is going to be so much that they're going to have to figure out. Let's figure out as much of it as possible now that we possibly can. Not because we're going to get it all right, but because we want to remove some of the whammies. We want to feel prepared for some of it. That way, their time, effort, and attention can be focused on the things that we didn't think about or that we didn't know until it all kind of hit the fan, right? All of those things can require their attention at the time. There are a number of things we can figure out in advance, right? So that is what we do with each of those scenarios. And sometimes a client will have like 2 different scenarios. Sometimes there might be 5. And yes, we take the time to really talk through a lot of them. What you will notice, I think, is it might be that 3 of the emergencies that they're most worried about are pretty similar in the plan we have to create. There might just be a few adjustments to each one, but it's not like the plan is completely unique for each one. Once you get one in place, it's kind of like, okay, it would mostly be like this with a couple of differences. So that is step 5. Step 6, we take the numbers that we outlined from that plan. So it's like, here's what your expenses would be. Here's the things we would have to pay for, that type of stuff. And that serves as our financial plan for emergencies. We then take 3 or 6 months of that number and we set that as our target for our savings goal. One thing that I know to be true, and this was something that I thought was such a flawed sort of strategy when it comes to like taking your current income and expenses and then multiplying it by 3 to 6 months, and that's your savings target. I think a very natural thing that happens, and maybe it's subconscious, but I do think it happens for most people, is that when an emergency were to happen, they naturally go into emergency mode. So like if we're eating out 3 times a week and God forbid something happened, and like let's say when Michael was working full time, if he had lost a job, we probably wouldn't eat out 3 times a week, right? Like we would sort of cut back very naturally. And like I feel like what we are trying to do with this strategy is really think through what are those types of decisions we would naturally make, and let's prepare for them today, and let's get a more accurate picture of what it would look like and start saving for that, right? I also think what happens is that the client feels more bought into it. They're like, I see now how that was created. I see why that number makes sense. And so it's just a lot easier for them to feel motivated and inspired to tackle that. So we will take 3 to 6 months of that number and we set that as our target goal. We then will typically set milestones. So it's like, hey, when you have 1 month's worth and then 2 months worth, we really want them to feel excited about the journey. So we want to celebrate each one of those milestones. And we typically have some sort of reward, whether it's like a cool date night out or, concert tickets or something like that, like a night in a hotel or whatever the case may be, so that they're feeling excited about their progress. Here is the end result of this process, you guys. The client not only feels financially ready for an emergency, but more emotionally and mentally prepared as well. They have this peace of mind that they have done the best that they can do to be prepared, and that is all they can do, right? It's sort of this peace of mind of like, did I do my best? And it's like, yes, I did. Did I plan for everything? Probably not, but I've done my best with what I know and what I have been able to figure out today. Couples feel like they're on the same page. And when an emergency happens, they're more equipped to tackle it together because it's like, here's what we said we would do. Here's the expenses we say we would get rid of. Here's the types of decisions we said we would make. It's more about executing a plan that was already created versus trying to create a plan when, if an emergency happens, like emotions are already really charged. And so it's like, let's remove some of that decision making and planning to a time when we're feeling calmer and we're feeling more, rational and logical, and we're not feeling so emotionally charged, right? So, and the inspiration for this came, you guys, before I ever launched my financial coaching business, Michael at one point was in a job that he really did not enjoy. And it's not just that he didn't enjoy it. If you guys have known Mr. Fiscal Fitness for a while now, all the videos he's done in this group and from the symposium and all the times you get to see him, he really is one of the most laid back guys. He's super easygoing, just wants to sort of help everybody. And this was the type of job that just ate away at his soul. He was miserable. He would come home just feeling so bad about himself. It was affecting his self-worth. It was affecting him so much. And I remember at that time, we were talking about him leaving his job. So he had been applying for other jobs for maybe a month or so, but it was getting so bad that we were talking about okay, you leaving your job so that you can do this, so that you're not miserable anymore, and we'll wait. You just won't work until you get the next job kind of thing. And I remember us looking at the budget and the expenses, and I remember asking the question, I kind of get my chest hurts a little bit when I think about this moment of I remember saying to him, what expenses would we cut so that you can leave your job? And I think about that question and how that must have felt to receive that question, and how that might have landed of because you want to leave your job, how is our lifestyle going to change? And I know that I did not mean it that way. I would have done anything. I would have not cared at all. If he was we can't do this, we can't do that, I've been whatever, we got to get you out of there kind of thing. But I imagine that conversation easily could have been done earlier, right? Hey, should something happen and one of us is absolutely miserable and we don't want to be tied to a paycheck, what would we do? What would that plan be? What would our strategy be? What kinds of decisions would we want to make at that time so that we can leave our job and be happier? Let's have that conversation today. And I regret that we didn't do that, but that is really the reason why we do that with all of our couples and clients now, okay? Here's how I know that this process works really well, you guys, is when the pandemic hit, while unexpected and not what any of us had planned for. I don't think any of my clients had planned for a global virus pandemic. Let's be honest, of all the things that worried everybody the most, that was not on anyone's list, okay? And yet overall, they handled it quite smoothly. And that is not to say that there weren't bumps in the road or hiccups or some confusion or fears around God, what are we doing? And that kind of thing, because of course there was. But when the pandemic hit, me and my team of coaches at the time, we immediately went into overdrive on Fiscal Fitness. We hosted weekly community coaching calls. where anybody and everyone could join, and not just clients, but anybody from the community, absolute strangers. If they needed help with their money during that really stressful time and like they really weren't sure what to do, and a lot of business owners, there were these programs coming out and nobody knew what was going on, we simply hosted free weekly community sessions where we would just tackle people's questions, give them some things to focus on, and that kind of thing. And clients were able to, like, you could just tell on those calls, there was a very stark contrast between our clients and how they were tackling it and the questions they were asking and the things they were focusing on compared to the individuals who had not been clients and who had not gone through this process. Like the things that they were worried about, it very much felt like a crisis mode. It very much felt like, panic and that sort of thing, where our clients, where there was worry and there was stress and that kind of thing, it wasn't like this deep-rooted, panic, if you will. And the pandemic was hard, but it was less hard for our clients. And for that, I am really, really grateful. So here is what I want you to think about now. Think about how you are coaching clients on debt specifically. I have shared a training video. I will link to it in the very first comment of this post, where I went through the process of how we coach clients to get out of debt. And I want you to think about the way you're currently doing it. And I have a feeling we need to elicit more emotion out of our clients who want to get out of debt. I always say that one of the best shifts you can make as a financial coach when it comes to debt payoff strategies for our clients is typically the energy around getting out of debt is that you are running away from your debt. You are paying it off. It was bad. I need to get that out of my life. Like, I'm running away from the debt. And I don't mean running away as far as like we're ignoring it. I mean running away like I've got to like pay this off, right? So in other words, I'm like doing this out of obligation because I made some mistakes in my past. I need to move on from it, right? A better approach, and I go into this in way more depth in that coaching video for all of you, is what are they running towards? Like, once the debt is paid off, why will that be better? What will that allow you to do? What opportunities will you be able to say yes to that you can't say yes to now because of the debt? How will you feel when you don't have debt compared to how you have debt? And actually get them to focus on what they're running towards versus what they're running away from, okay? And we go over that process in that coaching video, so I'll make sure I link to it. What about budgeting? So budgeting is a tool that helps clients gain clarity so that decisions they're trying to make are easier and faster, and they feel more confident making them. Budgeting is the how of confident decision making, right? Of clarity. Budgeting is the action. What is the feeling that we are trying to capture or harness so that a client wants to budget, so that they want to invest the time to do something every single week for the rest of their life, right? Like, that is coaching. That's what we've got to get to. What about net worth? Do you explain net worth to a client, help them calculate it, and then voila, you've coached them on net worth? Our goal with how we coach on net worth is that a client cares about that number enough that even if they're not meeting with us a year or 5 years from now, they are still calculating that number on their own because of what it gives them, what it tells them, the empowerment that they gain from knowing that number. We find that spark when talking about net worth. Yes, net worth, which I know is a financial calculation, but we pull out the emotional side of these concepts because in my mind, that is what financial coaching is, okay? What about goal setting? Do you have the clients pick an amount and maybe a target date, and that's goal setting? I promise you that all of these examples are exactly how I used to coach clients on all of these things. And it's exactly where I started. I probably use sort of like my way of goal setting and the way that I found goal setting to work for me, and just applied those to clients. And I have since discovered and created much better ways. And I know that you will over time as well. And you also don't have to wait until it's necessary to do that. You don't have to research or tinker or use trial and error until you get the approach just right if you don't want to. I've already done all of this legwork, and we share it with all of you in the Financial Coaching Toolkit. It's every financial coaching concept I have ever created and exactly how to coach the client through it, and any tool or resource you need to make it happen effectively. So, how to help them paint a vision for why that topic is important to them, the exact questions to ask them, the most common responses you might hear, and how to navigate that conversation, how to discover which emotions they're currently feeling, and shifting those emotions into ones that motivate them to take action and to do something with their money, to apply that knowledge, right? And we tackle all of those things on over 65 different coaching concepts. I almost said 50, but it's since grown and is now over 65 different concepts that we do this for, okay? So imagine the results that you could get your clients with the toolkit if you coach your clients in this way. Imagine the level of conversations you'll be having with clients with the toolkit. Imagine how long you'll be able to serve your clients because of the toolkit. One thing that I know, I have no doubt that the way I used to talk about emergency savings was faster. I could probably do it in a session or two. This approach takes longer because it's better. It's more in depth. It's more valuable. It's more inclusive of the entire person. Imagine how amazing you will feel when you coach a client, not just on their money, but on them as a whole person, so that they use their money as a tool to live their best life or to take action, right? So I am recording this video over Memorial Day weekend 2022, and right now we are offering $500 off the toolkit. You can simply go to financialcoachacademy.com/toolkit, use the promo code MD for Memorial Day, MD toolkit, to get $500 off. That promo code is MD toolkit. And last but not least, in case you have not heard the exciting news, Jill did a video a couple days ago with all of the juicy details, and I will link to the video in the second comment of this post. But just in case you missed it, we are about to perform this massive upgrade on the toolkit. Right now, like I said, it has over 65 concepts, and we are about to add so many more. It's about to almost double in size. And I want you to know that because one of the aspects of my business in the Financial Coach Academy that I am incredibly proud of is that you get lifetime access to anything you invest in with us. That means that you don't only get the version with the 65 concepts you would get today if you were to enroll in the Financial Coaching Toolkit, but when we do this upgrade and it doubles in size, you will get all of those too. There's no price difference for you. There's no upgrade fee. There's nothing. It's you get everything for the future as well. That is how we do the Financial Coaching Toolkit and the Financial Coach Academy, and we will for forever. So not only do you get the version you buy today, but you get all of these new upgrades. We are always creating new concepts for our clients. I was just talking with a coach in the comments today about like profit margin and how to talk to a client about really expanding their profit margin, and that might look like changing prices or looking at expenses for their products and that kind of thing. And with that comes a lot of mindset things usually for clients, business owners who talk about, well, I can't change my price because the market won't allow for it, or this is what's competitive and all of that. And so how do you coach clients through those conversations? That is in the toolkit. But everything that I discussed, budgeting, net worth, getting out of debt, savings rates, communication with spouses, business owner strategies. There are 14 different themes covering over 65 different concepts, walking you through exactly how to coach clients in an up-leveled way around money by pulling out the emotions and the behaviors and inspiring folks to apply the knowledge that you are providing to them. So if that is something you're interested in, please take a look at financialcoachacademy.com/toolkit. And on Wednesday of this coming week, there is also going to be a new training video released, you guys. So I want to make sure you keep an eye out for that. I did a training video in the mastermind this past week, and I asked the coach who asked the question that essentially inspired the training video if I could share the video with all of you. And he's amazing, and he said yes. It is definitely one of those videos that, at the end of it, people were commenting that it was transformative and they loved it. And so I thought, well, I have to share it with all of you. So that is going to be released on Wednesday. I also, in that video, share like behind the scenes sort of sneak peeks of how I manage my team and some of the funny rules that we have on our team. And we kind of do a behind the scenes look at that. So I thought you guys would like it for that reason too. So thanks for listening. Let me know what thoughts you have around coaching your clients through their emergency savings and what takeaways you had from this video. I will talk to you guys later. Bye, everybody.